At this point, I may need a Pleco for my 350-gallon aquarium. I've had this tank for over 2 years now, and I've never really had any major issues with algae, and I think that's mainly because my Lactobacillus used to live in this aquarium, and he was one of the best algae eaters you could find. I gave him an upgrade about 3 months ago, and in his absence, the algae is taking over this aquarium. All of my rocks are being painted with this purplish brownish color, all of my driftwood is being painted the same color, and even my acrylic walls on this aquarium are being covered with this algae, and I find it to be extremely annoying. Now, I do weekly water changes on this aquarium, and every time I go in manually and I try to scrub all the walls just to at least get the algae off the viewing panels, because that's the most important to me. Now, I have two things against me. One, this is acrylic and it scratches very easily. I've scratched this tank so many times. Pretty soon I may have to buff it because it's getting pretty scratched up. And two, the physical position of this aquarium is just right underneath a beam in the basement. So the left corner is very hard to get in, and I just can't reach in it. I've tried so many different methods, even working as a team. You got it right there in that corner.
It's right there.
Get it. Come on, get it. Scrub that thing. Scrub it, boy. Get it. The algae in that corner is undefeated. So after many failed attempts, I believe it's time for Plan B. Plan B is to go ahead and get someone to help me clean the algae from within the aquarium. I need somebody that's going to clean the algae 24/7, somebody that's going to be happy to eat that algae, and that's going to be delicate with my sensitive acrylic. Who could this be? First thing that comes to mind is another Lactobacillus. That would be awesome. But this hobby is so big, I like to experiment. I like to get the most out of it. So I'm not going to get a second Lactobacillus. That's going to be Plan C if Plan B doesn't work. Instead, I'm going to go for a Pleco. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I'm not a big fan of Plecos. There's a number of things that I don't like about them, but the biggest thing is that they are pretty much overpriced in my opinion. These fish are naturally nocturnal, so that means when you put them in your aquarium, they will hide. Now, a Pleco could cost you anywhere between $30 to $1,000 for a single fish. You put that fish in your tank, yeah, it looks awesome, but you never see it. You only see it like maybe once a day when you feed it. Besides that, this fish is hiding from you. And that's the biggest reason why I'm not a big fan of Plecos. If the price was lower, I'd probably have me a few dozens in my aquariums. But because the price is so high, that keeps me away, because I think it's a bad investment. However, I do have some bristlenose Plecos. These are like my only exception, because these guys don't get too big. These guys are peaceful, they are easy to breed, and most importantly, they only cost like $6. Now, I did try to add bristlenose Plecos to my 350. However, I have some predatorial fish in this aquarium, and they've been disappearing. I added 4 individuals that were about 2 to 3 inches, and I don't see any of them. I don't see any signs of them being in the aquarium. I don't see any algae disappearing. And I do have a fish notorious for eating catfish, this is my Mesoharis ornatus. No, not my Mesoharis ornatus. I do have a fish in here that is notorious for eating catfish, my Mesoharis geoffrius. And he's ate a catfish before. He's tried to eat a catfish before. He almost died. I had to save him. But yeah, he is notorious. He has an appetite for catfish, and I think he ate them. So that means I'm going to need a larger species of catfish. Now, I never really liked Plecos, so I really didn't do too much research about these fish. So I really don't know too much about them. So I did some digging up, and I found some pretty interesting facts about these fish. So first off, why do we call all suckermouth catfish Plecos? There's only one type of Pleco, Hypostomus plextosimus. I probably pronounced that terrible, but this is that one common Pleco. You know that Pleco when you go to PetSmart and it costs $1 and it gets huge, everybody tells you not to get it? That is a Pleco. That is the only Pleco in this hobby. That is one particular type of fish, a Pleco. All these other suckermouth catfish, they're not Plecos. Pleco only describes one species. That's like me referring to all my peacock bass as Orinoco because it's easier to say. So real quick, this is my Orinoco collection. This is my Azul Orinoco. You come over here, we can see another Orinoco. He's about 7 inches. This is my Mono Orinoco. In this tank we have another Mono Orinoco. We have my Common Orinoco. And then we have my Temensis Orinoco. So we need to come up with a new name. I suggest suckermouth catfish, something like that. But let me know in the comment section below what you think we should call these fish. Because they're not Plecos. It's not a bristlenose Pleco. It's not a blue-eye Pleco. These are not Plecos. The only type of Pleco, like I said, is the common Pleco. You could call it a bluemouth or blue-eye suckermouth or suckerfish, maybe. Now, something that I found confusing was the naming of these Plecos. Now, for those of you who keep Plecos and you know a lot about these fish, correct me if I'm wrong, But the naming of plecos is quite a mess. So you have 3 different types of names given to plecos. You have the common name, you have the scientific name, and you have L numbers. L numbers, I find them to be so confusing. I hate them. Some plecos have multiple L numbers, which doesn't make sense to me. But the L number is because there are so many different types of these fish that it's easier to give them an L number and then eventually give them a scientific name and a common name. Then after that, you have common names. This is worse. You have common names and you have plecos sharing the same common name. So you have like 20 fish that are all referred to as the Galaxy Pleco, which doesn't make sense because you buy one and you don't know if this one is going to grow to 5 inches or 12 inches. So that's a mess. You have the same thing with like the Golden Nugget Pleco. You have 5 of those that all are referred to as the Golden Nugget, and yet one grows to 6 inches, one grows to 10 inches. So definitely that needs to be straightened up. And then you have the scientific name, and the scientific name just comes eventually, I guess, when these guys are ready to give the Pleco or the L number a new name. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion with the names. Let me know in the comment section below what you think is going on with the names of these fish. Now I want to go ahead and give you guys a look at some of the different types of plecos. I was doing research for days about these different plecos, and there are so many, and I want to give you guys a look at just the diversity of plecos. Now, even though I'm not a big fan, I do got to give them credit because this is one of the most diverse groups of fish in this hobby. The different colors, the different patterns, the different sizes, definitely amazing. So I have a little slideshow of different plecos, and I sorted them by size just in case you're looking for a pleco and you want it for a certain aquarium. You can look at the certain size of these fish and know which one is best for your tank. So from 3 inches and under all the way up to 14 inches and over, I have these fish sorted out, and this is just a look at some of the different species you could come across. Now, honestly, you're probably only going to come across like 20 of them in your experience of fish keeping because not all of these guys are available to us, but it's still nice to see all the different varieties of these fish. those suckermouth fish, which one is the most appropriate for my 350-gallon aquarium? Now, like I said, I'm only going to find about 20 of these for sale, so that knocks off my search dramatically. On top of that, I need to find a pleco that's actually going to eat my algae. I was interested in the royal pleco, but these are some plecos that prefer eating wood, and there are a number of plecos like this fish that don't really make algae their #1 diet. So I definitely need to find a fish that's going to focus on eating my algae. On top of that, I don't want aggression. I read that galaxy plecos, also called vampire plecos, can become very territorial. So it's still a matter of me doing research. I am leaning towards the blue phantom or the gold nugget. I also like the look of the red-tailed cactus pleco. However, that fish starts at $200, so I definitely won't be getting that. But yeah, this is just some of the options of plecos, and like I said, I still have to do further research. But if this was your aquarium, and if you came and took a close look and you had algae blowing inside the current, what pleco would you choose to solve that problem? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.